In an industry stuffed with marketing bullshit, empty promises, and shiny-suited liars, one woman's had enough. She knows what it's like to have the wrong clients, no money, and no time for fun. But she also knows how to fix it. And on the Business for Superheroes show, she promises to tell the down and dirty truth about business, sales, and running away with the circus. Here's your host, Vicky Fraser.
Hello and welcome to the Business for Superheroes show. This week I have replaced Joe with Connor Benham, who is a Facebook ads expert. So Connor, thanks so much for being here, and tell us a bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm replacing Joe, not because I'm a Facebook ads expert, but because I'm much better looking. And, we're doing this podcast to announce me and Vicky are now engaged. And we thought this was the most appropriate way of doing it. I'm gonna
ask Connor to tell you how old he is. How old are you, Connor?
21.
Connor's 21, and he's either gonna go very far or get repeatedly slapped in the face by many, many people. This is one of the reasons I love you. You are so fucking cheeky. Anyway, tell everyone about, what you do aside from the fact that we've, just announced our engagement.
I run Facebook adverts, lead generation, and I wouldn't say I was an expert in Facebook ads, but I'm an expert in using the correct Facebook tools to get the most for your money when you're trying to get a ROI on direct sales or for just generating cheap leads, because Facebook are always trying to throw new things at the platform to try and encourage more and more people who don't know what they're doing to have a punt at it, and they end up ultimately wasting their money.
Okay, so that's probably a good segue into. I do have a question to ask you in a moment, but before I ask that question, let's start with the biggest mistakes people make when they dive into Facebook advertising and that kind of lead generation. Because I know from my own painful personal experience, it's very easy to set fire to quite a lot of money.
Yes, it is. It really is. So I'd say the number one thing that I see. And it's really not people's fault, because a lot of gurus spout this bollocks. Things like when you're trying to get leads. So Facebook gives you an options of, you tell Facebook what you want. So do you want traffic? Do you want landing page views? Do you want leads? Do you want conversions? There's a library of what you can ask Facebook to do for you. And the ones that have a little bit of understanding about marketing, they understand, right, I want leads and I want conversions. Mm-hmm. And then somewhere along the line, the wires get twisted, and they're in their head, they're going, I want leads, I want conversions. And they go on Facebook and they go, right, what do I want? I want traffic. That's what I want. I want traffic. They click traffic, and then they go on the forums and they go, it doesn't work, it's a shambles. And it's like, oh, well, let's go back to the very first step. What did you tell Facebook you want? I want traffic, but actually I want leads. And it's like, so that's the biggest mistake, optimizing for the wrong objective. If you want conversions, tell Facebook you want conversions. If you just want traffic, then tell Facebook you just want traffic. And don't be upset when Facebook gives you exactly what you've asked for.
Okay, so that's interesting. And that leads me to think there's actually a bigger problem further back than that, in that people don't really understand what they need and therefore mess the whole thing up before they even get to Facebook. Would you say that's true?
I'd say that's true. And I'd also say that people are trying to pretend they're smarter than Facebook. Like, Facebook knows exactly who on their platform converts, is likely to opt into things, and who's likely to click something and never do something. So when people try and play a game with Facebook, especially when you're working with small local businesses or just smaller businesses in general who don't have a ton of money just to burn, then definitely keep it simple and just tell Facebook what you want. Don't try and game the system,
Yeah. Okay, cool. We'll come back to that shortly, because I want to ask you how you can get started with, Facebook ads if you're on a tight budget and stuff, which is most small businesses. But before that, I want to know how Facebook knows you're pregnant.
Well, there's a funny story behind this. So I've been doing Facebook advertising for almost 7 years now.
Which is insane when you consider that you're 21 years old, but carry on.
That's another story. And I was learning, so Facebook has something called lookalike audiences. And that's where you can upload a list of data, and Facebook will, of your email list or whatever, and Facebook will go find the people who those emails belong to, and then they'll go through your email list. They'll look at the really similar characteristics, and they build like a really highly detailed profile, and then they go and search their whole platform for people who match that profile. So they're going to be very likely to be just like your existing customers or the people who are currently enjoying your content. Mm-hmm. And I always thought, that's incredibly powerful. There's no chance that's true. It's like bollocks. Until I heard the story of Facebook knows you're pregnant before you do. And it was about this girl. She randomly just started seeing tons and tons of adverts on Facebook for loads of baby stuff. You know, your cots, your nappies, pacifiers, etc., etc., etc. She said to her mum, "It's really weird. I'm seeing all these baby stuff all over Facebook." And she went, "Do you think you're pregnant?" She was like, no chance. And it turns out she went and pissed on a stick and she had a little bubba growing inside her. And that was because one of these companies had clearly uploaded their customer profile of, you know, these have been pregnant for a couple of weeks. We know this by their purchase behavior here, uploaded it. And lo and behold, she'd been pregnant for a couple of weeks without even knowing it. And Facebook knew it before she did.
That's insane. I can imagine that there are a bunch of people listening to this now with like cold shivers going up and down their spines, because it's impressive, but it's also a little bit scary.
It's incredibly scary when you think about Facebook has enough information on you to know exactly what you're going to do before you do it. Because of, and this goes back to everybody thinks they're unique. My business is unique. I'm not like everyone else, but your details get uploaded to Facebook by these companies probably every single day. And they make these lookalike audiences, and they go find people who are exactly like you and behave like you and spend money like you and like the things that you like.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, so now you've answered that question for me. Thank you. That's been eating away at me. Let's get back to some practical stuff. What is the best way for a small business owner? Someone like I don't know, someone who may be just starting out, needs to bring in new leads, doesn't have a lot of money yet because they need to bring in new leads. How's the best way for them to get started with Facebook ads or similar?
So at the moment, there's been quite a shift in the best practices on Facebook with things like not scaremongering or anything about email. I'm a true believer in email, but with things like email rates and deliverability getting a little bit worse each year, it's now getting harder and harder to do sort of a general lead generation campaign where in the past you'd give away like a white paper or something in exchange for their email address. And that's getting a little bit more expensive than before. So for someone who is just starting out, it's now possible just to go pretty much straight for the kill. You know, if you get some good copy written, get that up on a Facebook ad with the conversions objective. So you're targeting people who are likely to take action from a Facebook advert that really outlines your service, and it's good copywriting so they know exactly how it's going to benefit them. This wasn't really the done thing before, but now it's very possible to literally go from Facebook ad to getting someone on the phone to then selling your services. And don't get me wrong, you're going to pay 50 quid a lead, but if you're not bad on the phone and your service is good and you close 1 in 3, then for £150 to claim a new customer, if it's a new service and it's done for you, then if you're starting out, that's probably the easiest way to go.
Yeah, gosh, yeah. I mean, if that was, my strategy to get someone on the phone to become a private client of mine, 150 quid would be nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
absolutely. If you got your positioning and your pricing and everything correct, and you go on the phone call knowing exactly what you're going to offer, and it's a good offer, then that's the best way to go if you're definitely just starting out, for sure.
Yeah, and even if you're offering something, a bit lower price, one of my coaching services, perhaps that would still, the first month's subs would still more than cover that cost to grab the leads. So when you think about it like that, it's really worth doing, isn't it?
Yes, and that is the easiest way. There are several other ways, but they're a little bit more tech savvy and a little bit more Facebook savvy. But anybody can pretty much there's tons of copywriting services out there, or write your own copy because you know your service is best. Get good, decent. It has to be long copy as well for something like this.
Yeah.
And then it's very easy to set yourself up with a calendar that they can book themselves in to talk to you. So it's the least tech intensive way of doing so.
Okay, so could you walk us through what something like that would look like at its very simplest? Because I know people are probably going to be going, okay, that sounds great, but what does it look like from kind of Facebook ads through to getting somebody on the phone? What have you done with people that's worked?
So what, for this particular sort of strategy?
Yeah.
So this particular one, there's a whole back end to Facebook that some of your listeners may not know about, and it's business.facebook.com.
Okay.
And it's all grey and black and scary and dark. And the moment you click that create a campaign button, you feel your soul just drain away from you and your bank account just empties. And I'll get more into that later because Facebook are really clever at extracting every last penny and pound out of you.
Yeah.
So once you click create a campaign, you'll be asked what objective. And as I said, you go for conversions. Mm-hmm. And it'll ask you to set up a custom conversion. And if you just Google it, it's very easy to do. If I explain it now, everyone's going to stop listening and run for the hills and contemplate doing bad things to themselves. I don't want to be responsible for that. So you go for conversions, and then you'll be asked how much do you want to spend a day, and then you'll be asked who do you want to target. And this is where Facebook's so powerful. So we spoke about the lookalike audiences earlier.
Yeah.
Facebook knows exactly what everyone's interested in, what pages they've liked, obviously, and their behaviors. And this is where you can start really building really strong audiences from getting a little bit clever. So on a surface level, you'd just start with, if you're targeting small business owners, you can literally type in small business owners in the UK and it will say there's X amount of people, you're going to reach this amount per day for the amount you're willing to spend. And it looks all rosy. Mm-hmm. But it gets powerful because you can target people who, with the behaviors. So you can do small business owner, then layered with recently purchased a BMW in the last couple of weeks or something along those lines. So they're a big spender.
Okay.
If the service was related to that, then it's easy.
Okay, that's interesting. So you're targeting broadly the people that you want, and then you're adding extra detail that says it's not necessarily related to what you're offering or what they're buying, but somebody who's just dropped 50 grand on a new BMW has obviously got money to spend.
Yes, exactly. And you can do all of those things. So like one of my favorite things to do is I will target small business owners interested in internet marketing and also have Infusionsoft or Salesforce or one of the other, Entreport, anything like that, because then that shows to me they're serious. The power of marketing already if they're investing a decent wedge of change.
Yeah.
One of those services already. And it's when you start getting down to that level that you start targeting the higher quality audiences, because most people would just go small business owner and leave it there. Mm-hmm. But Facebook will then, because you've said conversions, that you might just be shown to a load of really poor, desperate small business owners. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they haven't got the money to spend. So I don't know about you, but I'd assume you'd be the same. I don't really want to show my adverts to people who are just trying to talk to me to get some free information because they're in a real bad, desperate spot with no money to actually exchange.
Yeah, there are different ways to reach those people, and the book They Ask You Answer is very good at that. You can put a whole bunch of content out there and give them loads of information and kind of get them ready that way, I guess, can't they? But we're talking here about spending money where it's going to be best. It's going to be the best.
Where you want to return. This is an investment. It sounds horrible to say, but you don't want to pay someone to waste your time.
No, absolutely not. And there's tons of free information out there for people who have got no money. It's up to them.
Exactly. There's so much. There's too much information. There is too much. Anyway, I'm coming off the point. And then you choose where you want to target. So you can say like the main Facebook newsfeed in the right-hand column, which is a lot smaller. Facebook stories, which I'm sure you've noticed have been around now for 6 months or so.
Yeah.
Then you can target on Instagram, Instagram stories, because obviously Facebook owns Instagram.
Yeah.
And then they've got things like audience networks. So they have partnerships with other apps and stuff. So for example, Tinder is one of their partnership apps.
Oh, really?
So if you choose, these audience network sort of ones, then your ads are going to be shown on Tinder.
Okay.
And then there's tons. So if you've got a video advert, you can choose for it to be played in the middle of someone else's video. You can't specify what video, but it's like a commercial break.
Sure.
And there's tons of options. But if you're just starting out, keep it nice and simple for yourself. Just choose the Facebook desktop newsfeed.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's really, really helpful. So what happens after that then? Once they've clicked on the ad, what do you recommend people do next? Where would I go if I clicked on one of your ads?
You would go to a nice, pretty little landing page with some excellent copy and a calendar to call me about a discussion about the benefits that were discussed in the ad copy.
Okay.
And I would probably have it as a 2-step. So it'd be first step, email, and then they'd be forwarded to a page with a booking calendar so they can book themselves in. So if they don't complete the booking, you've still got their email address as a fairly hot lead if they've interested enough to talk to someone about the pains you're willing to cure. Then you can put them through a follow-up sequence to say, hey, you didn't book your call, why not? Don't be silly.
Yeah. And are you talking about a free call here, like a free?
I would do it as a free call, but I'd make sure you've got your positioning and everything correct. So I'd ensure you're disguising this, not disguising it, but you have an application and everything. So you weed out a lot of the brain pickers, can I pick your brain sort of people, and you don't call them, have them call you, because that completely changes the dynamic of the call. Because they're calling you, and so therefore it's just a little trick that instantly puts you in the power. And also, I guess, gets them to take that action. And it's like, it's up to you to do this. So, it's that extra. I think John McCulloch has been doing something that's been working really well, hasn't he? I run John's ads, and it's part of I'm now really going after the coaching market. Yeah. Because most of my clients, when I look at them, are all coaches. And we're all now running this similar process, a little bit higher tech of webinar to call booking, and if they're a right fit, they get offered a place on I think we're doing 12-week program at the moment. Yeah. And that's working very well. I'm not going to discuss numbers because it's not my place to do so, but yeah, no, I know it's doing very well as well. Yeah, so I've spoken to them. I won't discuss numbers either, but I know that it's worthwhile doing. But I just wanted to kind of jump on one of the things that you said, about qualifying people. I know that one of the things that John does is he gets people to fill in a questionnaire that is very good at qualifying people. If they don't get the right answer, kind of the right answer, then they don't get the call. So that's one way that you can do it. Absolutely. And it is really tight. It is really, there's no exceptions. He made an exception once, and he didn't. Another client made an exception once. Trigger and Terry? Yeah. They made an exception to one of the people that filled out their application form, and was like, we'll give him a chance because he was close enough. He turned out to be the worst person they'd ever spoke to. It was never going to buy, and it was just like, well, right, we're making it even harder to get on this call now. So it's not a case of let's talk to everyone and anyone. And yeah, because that really does make you look desperate, make you look silly. Yeah. However, if you position it correctly, you've got to make it look like an offer. Yeah. Especially on Facebook. Because if you just go on Facebook and you're like, this is what I do, please talk to me, please give me money, it's not going to work. But if you present it as an offer, it's like, this is when you use the copyright and stuff, talk exactly about the pains and the needs, and then you present this phone call as an opportunity to cure those pains and needs, then it's going to do a lot better. I could pretty much guarantee if you was to put an advert up there and I was like, hey, I do Facebook adverts, click below and I will talk to you on the phone about you paying me to do your Facebook adverts, it's not going to go very well. No. If I talk to people, about I mention things like you're already spending money on marketing, because that's a pre-qualifying thing, because if they're not, they'll just read on, which is brilliant. And then I go on, it's like, are you getting an ROI? Is your business run on leads and sales, and do you need a consistent flow? I've got the answers, yada, yada, yada. Then I reckon I could pick up phone calls with highly qualified leads who go through the questionnaire for around about 50 to 75, maybe on a bad day 100, but I would pay £100 all day to get on the phone with a highly qualified individual with a pain that needs fixing right now.
Sure. Okay, that's super useful, and that gives everybody, I think, a good place to start. It gives everybody a nice simple little funnel. Obviously, you need to get the copyright, and there are, as long as you deeply understand your audience and their problems, that shouldn't be too much. You don't need to be the most amazing copywriter in the world. You just need to make somebody feel something, basically. And obviously, if anyone needs help with that, they can come to me. Okay, but before we come to how to choose an expert, if you do have the budget, because I am never going to try and do this shit myself again. I've fired so much money. I just wanted to quickly ask, because I always get loads of adverts in my news feed that's like, oh, why don't you boost this post? So can you just tell us the difference between ads versus boosted posts, and whether boosted posts are even worth it? Because I always see them and think, oh, your post here is doing X% better than all of your other posts. You should boost it. What the hell's that all about?
I'm sat here with a huge grin on my face because this is what I was talking about earlier. I said Facebook are really good at extracting every penny out of you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how Facebook do it. This post is performing 271% better than your other post. Fancy putting another $5 on it.
Oh,
this post is performing 91% better than every other post in your industry.
Yeah.
Tenner on it. Or this post is terrible, it's performing awfully. Do you want to put some money on it and we'll make it better for you? And boosted posts are the quickest way to burn money for 99% of businesses.
Okay, so basically, unless you really know what you're doing, don't do it.
Don't boost posts, no, because when you click that boost post button, you're giving Facebook all the control. You're essentially telling them, I have no idea what I'm doing. So Facebook are going to have that on your secret profile behind you, and they'll then just treat you like a sucker, pretty much.
Man, that's shady.
Because when you click that boost post button, if you don't do any of the targeting that I spoke about earlier, so the interest targeting or the location targeting, Facebook will more than happily just go show this advert to people who like and comment on everything, but they ain't got a penny to their name. They're never going to do anything. They're not your target audience. But because you're getting likes and comments, you feel good because that releases dopamine in your brain. It's rewarding you for an action you've done, and your brain loves it. And that's the whole reason Facebook's so addictive.
Yes.
And Facebook knows that. So Facebook plays on that massively. And that's why they show it to these people who literally just sit all day on Facebook and literally like every single post, because they exist and Facebook know who they are, and they're Facebook's little farm of likers. And
a lot of them are small business owners as well. I see this all the time, and that is a total red flag to me. It's like the like ladders. Oh my God, don't even get me started on like ladders. It's like the like ladders and the people who have all this time to sit around commenting and liking in it. It's like you should automatically know that those people are never going to spend money on anything because they haven't got any money, because they're sitting on Facebook.
Exactly. So a boosted post is bad. And so, back at Christmas time, when everyone's in, basically people have like buying loops. And in Christmas, the buying loop is constantly open because everybody's looking for presents to buy their family.
Yeah.
Facebook took massive advantage of that. And they were like, here's a free £15 voucher to boost your posts.
Oh.
You do that, dopamine hit, bang, Facebook. Do you want to put a tenner on it? And you're like, yeah, because Facebook's like, you got this many likes, your post performed 3,001 times better than without boosting your post, etc., etc. You go, yeah. And they Facebook take you through this like boost funnel. So you click and then eventually after you've done it a couple times, Facebook says, do you want to give us £100 a month and we'll automatically boost all of your best posts? And they did it all over Christmas because they know that's when people are already buying things. Yeah. And people think they're making an investment. It's like, that's how they justify it in their head. Well, it's a business expense. It's a business expense. It's not. You may as well just shit on that money and set it alight.
Oh man, that's really interesting. I bet there's a lot of people listening going, Facebook are evil. And I do think that is a very shady way of doing things. But I also think that the people who are getting suckered into it are willing victims.
They are willing victims. And Facebook, as I said, they're only doing what they're being told.
Yeah.
So if you say, I want to boost this post, but you don't tell Facebook who you want to boost it to,
Yeah.
That's your own fault.
It is, and it's your responsibility to find out enough about it to know what's best to do, what's not best to do.
Exactly. And it's
which is why you're here.
Exactly. And it is. I know it's rich coming from me saying it's simple because I've been doing this for so long, but I've seen my dad do this, and my father.
Yeah.
He's good at business, but he's not very intelligent. So
you are a terrible, terrible young man, Connor.
he's very good at business, but
yeah, he's a bright shiny object. He likes the bright shiny objects.
He does,
and
he figures it out. So.
Yeah. And I've been there as well. And it's just, I wanted people I wanted to get you on the podcast because I know that a lot of people burn through a lot of money on this, and it's because they don't understand, they haven't educated themselves. And it's just like, I would like to tell people, and I'm hoping that you'll back me up on this. If you don't know what you're doing and you can't afford to pay somebody and you're not willing to do the work yourself, just don't give any money to Facebook, because there are better ways of doing things, right?
Yes, there are absolutely 101 ways of marketing. Facebook is merely just one of multiple channels you should be using in your marketing strategy.
Yeah. I had another question as well, because I've heard a lot about sending ads to blog posts and articles and doing things that way, making it a sort of longer relationship building thing. What do you think about that?
I think that is slowly dying.
Do you think?
I think it's approaching a real death. What I'm finding is that more and more people are understanding marketing now. Even the general consumers, to an extent, are catching on to what us evil business owners are doing. And I'm actually releasing a webinar about this, where there's such an information overload in the world. By releasing more information yourself and not following up correctly, you're then just being almost a commodity to yourself, because if someone's a commodity to the problem, so you're almost just one of these many people just giving out information, and it all sounds like it's coming from the same voice if you're not properly flamingoing yourself. And the people that are going to succeed are the ones giving insights into the actual problems, because anybody can Google now how to run a Facebook conversion campaign, how to set up a custom conversion. And if I was to sit there and talk and walk you through it, I'd just be one of these many voices that you hear about how to do it. Mm-hmm. But with the insight of do custom conversions and do the conversions campaign is a lot more powerful. So what I'm getting at is sending traffic to blog posts is dying. What will overtake that is taking people through a series of videos, and successful marketers have already been doing that for quite some time.
Yeah.
So you have an initial video of you talking about your core, whatever it is, and building that relationship with them. And that's really powerful because it's you, your face on camera, really good at relationship building. People love to watch videos because we're all mindless zombies. And with Facebook, what you can say is anybody who watched more than 50% of this 5-minute video of me rambling, show them this video. And that video will then go deeper into the issue you was talking about. And then off the people that watch 50% of that, you do it again. And then at the end of it, they've spent a fair bit, 15 odd minutes watching you ramble and talk. Then you could pretty much make a sale off the back of that if you've done it correctly. Because if they're watching that much of you talk about one specific issue and problem.
Yeah, this is exactly what Marcus Sheridan says in his They Ask You Answer book. And, if people are going to read 30 pages of your website, you don't have to do any selling because it's already been done.
Yeah. And I think we're moving towards less blogging, more videoing.
Yeah.
As scary as that sounds, because lots of people hate video.
Well, they do. And it's like, because I don't actually watch that many videos, but I'm also very well aware that I'm probably in a minority there. So, I hate being on video, but I've actually got a guy coming to start filming with me after my holiday. So I'm terrified of that idea, but I know that it's a good thing to do.
Well, you'll be nice and brown.
I'm going to Wales, so I don't know that, but
You won't be nice and brown.
Well, I don't know. It's going to be really hot. Anyway, I'm going to stop you there because I'm going to get you back at some point so we can talk about that a bit more, because I think that that's a whole different topic that people find really valuable. But I wanted to ask you, how if you do have a budget and you want to be serious about Facebook ads, how do you choose an expert? How do you avoid getting shafted by somebody?
It's getting harder and harder, and that is not the answer everybody wants to hear, but it is getting really, really hard, because there are tons of courses popping up every day, like how to start a social media advertising agency for less than £100.
Oh God, really?
Yeah, tons. I see them all the time because I'm obviously in that demographic that they're targeting.
Yeah.
So they're targeting people who are interested in, and this is from me way back, because obviously I am self-employed and everything now, but back when I was interested in being self-employed, and I was also interested in marketing and interested in internet marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So these people are targeting my demographics. I haven't bothered updating any of my Facebook really. Saying, do you want to be self-employed? Here's how you start a social media advertising agency for less than £100. And it's scary, because although I don't blame these people for trying to get into this industry, because once you crack it, it's incredible. But these are complete beginners being told, call yourself a social media expert, tell everyone you have an agency, take a couple grand off them, and figure it out later.
Oh man, that's really shady.
It's really scary. And then there's also even respected gurus who spout the wrong thing. They try and be very holistic about it all. And sometimes with Facebook, you can't be holistic. You've just got to be cutthroat. You want the leads, you want the sales. So get the leads and sales, cut the bullshit.
Okay, so I'm lucky because I know you and I know somebody else who's very good at the whole Facebook ads thing. So what would I look for? What do I need to look for to avoid all of those kind of shady pseudo experts and find somebody like you?
The safest way, I think, to find someone like me, you'd be very lucky, because there isn't. And secondly, I would find someone industry specific to you who has case studies. Beforehand, I would just be like, because I think their Facebook freelancers are generally better than the agencies, because agencies have an incredibly high turnover rate. So one day you might have their best Facebook marketer on it. They realize how good they are and how much money they can make doing it themselves and going straight to businesses. They leave, they whack the new kid on it, and so all of a sudden it's all gone haywire. It's all gone to shit. I've seen that happen.
Okay.
Several times. And I've even been approached by agencies who've said, our best Facebook marketer has left. We've got a new kid in. He doesn't know what he's doing. Can you show him the ropes and take over that account for a couple months? And that's what it is. So if you're looking for someone, find an expert who goes on shows like this and is confident enough to speak about it.
Yeah.
Secondly, if they're too expensive for you, which they usually are, find someone who is industry specific to you and has some case studies and can actually say, like, this is the landing page I used, this is X that I used, this is Y that I used. Yeah. If they say they're all of those things, but they can't show you anything because of an NDA, they're lying. They can still show you a framework of what they did and tell you that it was profitable. They might not be able to give you figures because of an NDA, but they can still show you the framework, because if they're a real Facebook marketer, they would have come up with that strategy. Yeah. And sat down, thought it through, tested it with someone and been like, yeah, this works. And then, of course, that Facebook advertiser is allowed to apply that to several other businesses.
Sure.
So they're the things I'd look for.
Cool. I would also ask to talk to one of their clients as well if you possibly can, because I think that's always a good measure.
That is.
Yeah.
And if a Facebook advertiser allows that, they're confident.
Yeah, yeah.
Because anyone, not even just a Facebook advertiser.
I know, because I know you said before, you know who my clients are, come and talk to them. And I say exactly the same thing. It's like, I've worked with several people. If you want to talk to any of them, that's great. I will put you in touch. Okay, cool. Well, we're running out of time. I think we've probably gone a little bit over time, but that's fine. So where can people find out more about you, Connor?
At the moment, it's probably best you go to connorbenham.com. I've got it's especially for things like this, a little like starter pack. It's a little PDF of just to remind you what I've spoke about, and it tells you a little bit more about custom conversions and why you should go for conversions. It tells you a little bit about the scary, meaty, juicy stuff, and it tells you a little bit about landing pages. It's called the 7 something. It's got a pretty name, but it's basically just 7 steps to a decent Facebook campaign.
Oh, perfect.
Which really undersells it.
Yeah, if only you knew someone who could come up with a better headline for me.
There is something, there is a pretty name on there that it took me a while to come up with. I just can't remember.
Awesome. Well, okay, that's great. Thank you. Guys, go to connorbenham.com and download his 7 steps cheat sheet thingy, because it will underline everything that you've just heard now. And listen to this podcast again. If you are thinking about getting into Facebook ads or any kind of lead generation, this has been an absolute goldmine of useful stuff. So Connor, thank you so much for being with us on the show. We'll get you back at some point to talk about some more stuff, because it's a big topic. And yeah, basically, thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. And it's called the 7 Vital Steps to a Killer Facebook Campaign.
There you go. The 7 vital steps to a killer Facebook campaign at connorbenham.com. That's super. Thank you. Cool, guys. Go to connorbenham.com. If you want to know more about me, you can go to my website at vickyfraser.com as usual, and go subscribe to the podcast and share it with people and leave us a review. We love getting reviews. And if you know somebody else who will find this podcast episode useful, so anybody who's in business and needs leads, send them to vickyfraser.com/podcast and get them to have a listen. Connor, thanks again. I'll be back same time next week with Joe. Joe will be back. Yay. And yeah, we'll be talking about something interesting, and I have not got it in front of me, so that'll be a surprise.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Like what you've just heard? Tell your colleagues, tell your friends, send them to www.businessforsuperheroes.com/podcast.